very common issue, I think, that is all around us, and that is the issue of tattoos. Yeah. So, what should be done with these tattoos that we have, or because as I do find that parents are often found very disgruntled, very unhappy when they see their children having all kinds of tattoos on all kinds of places on their bodies, and they would not feel comfortable. So let me just briefly first let you know that as far as tattoos are concerned, and the prohibition of a tattoo, as has been mentioned in a certain narrative, which I'll just explain to you. But before I do that, just let me give you a summary of what exactly has been implied and what I have understood from the sources. And that is that as long as tattoos which are not vulgar or indecent, or maybe made of things which people used to worship in olden times, of course this does not happen. This does happen in certain pagan communities even today. But as long as tattoos which are not vulgar or indecent, or they are not made of deities which are worshipped, used to be worshipped, or still are worshipped in certain countries or certain areas of the world, all other tattoos have no stamp of prohibition. So you can make all kinds of tattoos. It is entirely your choice. Obviously, as a parent, I might have my reservations if I see my child, but it does not relate to any religious reservation. It would just relate to the fact, well, you're not looking nice, so maybe you're looking a little over than you should. But again, as I said, that would not be any sort of a religious prohibition that a parent can offer, because he or she thinks that religion has stopped us from tattooing our body. It has not. And the only narrative which has come in this regard, which is generally translated as that a person who makes these tattoos and the person on whom these tattoos are made have been cursed by the Prophet. Let me tell you that this narrative has been cited, and if you, as is the general case, if you gather all the narratives of this topic, you'll find out that this has been there is a certain Quranic verse associated with this topic of tattooing in that hadith verse, and that is that the very famous verse of Surah Rum, in which it is said, "La tabdila li khalqillah," which means that don't change the creation of God on which He has created you. Don't change that thing. So people thought that when it is said that don't change the creation of God, don't do this and don't do that, and the words which are used in Arabic is washima al-mustawshima. Washima means the person who makes these tattoos and engraves them, and mustawshima is the person on whom they are engraved. So they say that this curse is on the Prophet, and because of the fact that there is a certain Quranic verse which is associated. Now, if you pick up that Quranic verse and you find it in the Quran, you'll realize that the topic under discussion is polytheism, and the whole background is that the Almighty is telling us that shirk or polytheism is something which is against human nature. It is against the creation or fitrah on which the Almighty has created you, so give it up. So la tabdila li khalqillah is the verse which is quoted in that hadith vis-a-vis that tattooing, and which immediately tells us that obviously the Prophet was telling people that if they make tattoos which of course depict deities or idols which are worshipped, then this is something which is not on, because as I said, that the verse which is quoted is the one which deals with polytheism. And la tabdila li khalqillah, the Quranic verse, does not relate to any appearance or any outward bearing. It means the nature on which the Almighty created you was monotheism, was one God, and you are corrupting your nature if you believe in more than one gods. So therefore, do not do so. So in other words, it becomes very apparent that the hadith relates to specific tattoos, those tattoos which were used in the times of the Prophet, as I said, to be worshipped, for worship purposes. And because polytheism was rampant in the times of the Prophet, so therefore he said that any tattoo which is made on your body, and the purpose of that tattoo is that people actually think that vision or the picture made or engraved is that of a deity or an idol, that will not be acceptable. And I think that's fair enough, because we would not accept any idol or a deity. But other than that, as I said, tattoos today which are made are seldom made of idols and deities, and if they are, then of course they should be refrained from. And the second thing is that there should not be any vulgarity in that aspect. And if these two aspects are taken care of, then any form of tattoo that you would like can be engraved and can be made, and it cannot be objected to. And I think parents also must realize that they might feel discomfort, or they might feel very strange when they see this, because parents have not grown up with this tattoo phenomena when they were growing up, and it seems very strange to them. But as I said, they have to realize this, that these tattoos do not bear any label of prohibition as far as religion is concerned. The only tattoo that is prohibited, as I just said, in the hadith of the Prophet, related to idol worshipping. And of course, as I said, I would add one more category to that, and that is any vulgar sort of a tattoo, which is of course another directive of religion, that vulgarity and obscenity must be abstained from. So this is how I would explain tattooing.
So I was wondering, based on the same verse that you used about that you spoke, that people misinterpret that as being for tattoos, what about people that talk about piercings and say that those are inappropriate or shouldn't be done, especially for like belly button or like eyebrows or tongue and so on?
So again, there is no such hadith which says so. All those narratives which are there, they either relate to this practice of I would say polytheism, or there was this practice of tanammus which was rampant in the times of the Prophet, in which what women would do, they would cut their hair in a certain way, in which it would dangle in front of their foreheads like here, and there would be a small space here. And that tanammus, actually the practice of tanammus, was something which the Prophet said, well, this does not look well on women. So it's like expressing a certain dislike. And then again, it was not regarding the eyebrows, or as has been generally the case to be understood, or plucking facial hair as has been understood, because the word tanammus does not refer to plucking facial hair. It refers to a certain practice in which the hair near the center of your forehead is plucked off, and there is a certain form which is made, which does not look nice if you see the practice the way it would be done. So as I said, that either the hadiths are of these types or of the other category. But if you have a piercing in your belly button, or maybe something else, again the purpose should be that, are you going to show off your belly button, or is it because there's something else? Because showing off your belly button itself is something which is not recommended, which is not on. So, but if you do it for your own self, or just to see it for your own self, maybe, of course it cannot be objected to. So similar is the case with eyebrows, and similar is the case with piercing in other parts of our body. It could be something which is detestable, I mean, to some other person, but as long as you're okay with it, it's fine. Also remember that there are many narratives of the Prophet in which at times the Prophet's own personal dislike is mentioned in this word, like words it says kareha. The Prophet did not like it, it did not recommend it. So again, it is like an elderly person not liking certain customs. I would also grandfather say some things to my grandchildren or my children, well, don't do like this because it doesn't look good. But again, you have to understand that there are certain things which are part of religion, and there are certain things which are part of your personal choice or your personal inclination, and you have to make a distinction between them as well.
That makes sense. Thank you.
Sir, my first question is basically it's to do with, you said that you shouldn't have tattoos which of polytheistic nature. That could this also relate to clothing? Because some people say that even if the Nike tick, the logo itself isn't the goddess, if the name on the branding, could that count as being polytheistic nature?
Well, I don't think so. You see, at times what happens is that these things lose their background. To give you an example, look at the days of the week. Sunday, Monday. You know, Monday means the day of the moon god. The Sunday is the day of the sun god. So we use them freely, because these words have been divested of their original, the way they were coined. So I think this is just like saying something which has lost its original, I would say, the way, the reason for which they were coined. People no longer know them, and they have totally been divested of them. As I said, like the days, similarly is the case with the days of the month. So August, September, June, July. These a lot of them relate to the to some of the deities which were present, or to some emperors in a certain way, that you give certain amount of sanctity to that emperor. So I think that I would class them with these months of the year, or these days of the week.
Hi, is there any particular place on your body where you cannot get a tattoo if you wanted one?
I don't think there's any place. You can do it anywhere, as long as if you're doing it in some private place, then obviously should not be a place that you should start showing off to other people. And again, the tattoo that is made on such a private place is preferably should be made by yourself, because in that case you would be exposing some of your private parts to some other person who is making that tattoo. So you can do it anywhere on your body, as long as if it is something which can be displayed. Obviously other people can make that tattoo, but if it is made at a certain place in your body which is indecent to expose, then you should make it yourself and enjoy it.
Hi, I just wanted to ask, to my knowledge, the argument against tattoos is that it is unclean for prayer. I'd just like your perspective on this.
So I would say that if they have become part of your body, like for example nail polish does when you wear it on your nails. So before doing your tattoo, you should do wuzu, and then you can make a tattoo after that, and subsequently you can do wuzu on top of that tattoo.